Okay, class, good morning and welcome back to Math 10. Referred to in the first semester as GUMP. Geometry, Measure, and Finance. Today's lesson is going to be on markups, how a lot of retailers will mark up the prices to make a profit. Before we start, I just want to do a review of what we did last lesson on unit pricing. So here are some word problems just for an example, and I'll go them over with you to start with. If I travel 40 kilometers in 80 minutes, how far do I travel in 1 hour? Well, first thing we want to do is change this hour into minutes. So how many minutes in an hour? Anybody? 60, right? Okay. So we set this up again. Remember, this is a ratio. 40 kilometers in 80 minutes. 40 kilometers, 80 minutes. That's the rate of speed. So I can write this now as a fraction. 40 over 80 minutes. We set it up as a proportional statement. We make it equal. It's equal to, well, they're asking us how far. We don't know the distance, so that's the x. In 1 hour, so that's 60 minutes. So we've got to make sure that we have the same units on the bottom, so that we can now solve this. Cross multiply it, take our x, and multiply it by 80. 80 times x is 80x. And then we multiply the other side, 40 times 60. So 80x is equal to 2400. We divide both sides by 80 to get rid of that 80. Whatever we do to one side to the other. 80 divided by 80, that cancels out. So now x equals 2400 divided by 80. And that's going to be 30. So that means I will travel 30 kilometers in 1 hour. In 60 minutes or 1 hour. So using unit pricing is a way to determine unknowns. If 12 tomatoes cost $9, find the unit cost of 1. Well, 12 tomatoes to $9. That's my ratio. Set it up as a fraction. 12 tomatoes over $9. They want to know what one's going to cost. So I'm going to put in 1 tomato and what's it going to cost on the bottom. So then if I multiply that, 12 times x is 12x equals 9 times 1. That's going to be $9. 9 times 1 is 9. So dollar sign. I'm using a dollar sign. It's hard with my pen here, but just like this. I just make sure that whatever unit I have in the bottom, it's the same. If I have dollars down here, I got to have dollars down there. Now to find out what 1 tomato is, I have to divide by 12. And if I divide by 12 on one side, I divide 12 on the other. So $9 divided by 12 is going to be, my head's not that. 9.00 divided by 12. I'll do it again. Okay. that's a $sign X. I don't know what's going to cost for one. So then I cross multiplied, and I had $9 divided by 12 X. So 9 divided by 12. $0.75. So one tomato will cost 75 cents. I think that's expensive. A dozen tomatoes, 12? Well, usually you pay by the pound. Yeah.
The tomatoes are like this big, so it's like
Yeah. Well, again, it depends how big they are too. If you got the beefsteak ones or the small little cherry ones, they're average ones on the vine. Tomatoes on the vine. They're good. Okay, and the last example is which is a better option. You've got to decide whether a 500-gram box of chocolates costing $2.99 is cheaper than a 800-gram box costing $3.99. So you set that up. We'll put 500 grams is $2.99, and we have 800 grams, $3.99. So we can set this up as a proportion statement again. We put 500 over $2.99 equals 800 grams over $3.99. Okay. So what is one going to cost? Well, if we divide 500 by $3.99, that'll tell us, sorry, $2.99. Back to the calculator. That's a lot. I think I've got a decimal there. So go back. 500 divided by 2. I hit this point harder. There. 167. Guess what I'm doing wrong, folks? Whenever you do unit pricing, you always put the money on top. That's a common mistake a lot of people do. So remember, we have to put the money for unit price on the top. So now this is going to make more sense because we don't want 1 gram of chocolates to be $167. It's not reasonable. That's why I knew it was wrong. Whenever you get an answer that's not reasonable, then you go back and check your work. So $2.99 divided by 500. There we go. So it's 0.00598. And then we'll do the second one. $3.99 for 800 grams. Any guesses which one's going to be cheaper? 500. Okay, let's see. 0.00498. So which is less, 4 or 5? This one here. So the 800 gram box is going to be, generally it will be the bigger box or the larger box. Yep. Generally, not always though, but you have to check. But it's a pretty good chance that when you buy something in a bigger box like 800, you're going to pay less per unit. Okay, so let's look today at what our lesson is on markups. Now, markups in stores are usually given as a percent, just like a discount. They'll say they're going to mark it up. A person buys something and they'll mark it up by 10% or 5% or 20%. So we need to know how to change a percent to a decimal. The first thing we always do is convert the percent to a decimal. 100%. 100% means everything, the whole thing. 100% is the whole box, the whole enchilada. If we were to change that to a decimal, all percent is over 100. So 100% is 100 divided by 100, which is 1. That's the whole thing. But anything less than 100 is going to be a fraction of 1. So it's going to be less than 1. So if I have 10%, first thing I do is I change it to a decimal. That means it's 10 divided by 100. And that's going to be 0.1. When I put it in the calculator, 0.1. So now I can take 10% of 55. $55 times 0.1, you will get $5.50. 10% of 55 is $5.50. What's 15% of 20? First thing we do is take the 15%, change it to a decimal. 15 divided by 100. That's going to be 0.15. Yes, always divided by 100%, always. So now we take 0.15. Now the word of, you see that a lot in problems. That just means multiply. Whenever you see something of, it means multiply. So 0.15 times $20. If I put in my calculator, I know in my head right now it's going to be 3, but to show that, I'll clear this. So I'm going to put 0.15 times 20, and I get 3. So my answer is $3. And the last example for converting percent to decimals, what is 30% of 24? First thing we do is change the percent to a decimal. That's 30 divided by 100. That'd be 0.3 or 30, doesn't really matter. And of means multiply. And if we do that, we get $7.20. Just to check my calculations. $7.20. Okay? All right. It's important that we know how to convert, because when we're doing markups or discounts, it's always given as a percent. So just moving on. How do retailers make a profit? By marking up the price. A retailer is a person who sells in a store. You might have heard the word wholesale. A store like Superstore or Sobeys or any shoe store They buy their stuff from a big warehouse. They might pay $10 or something, but when they sell it to you, they're going to sell it not for 10, they're going to sell it probably for 15 or more because they have to make a profit. So that's called a markup. So markup is the difference between what they pay wholesale price, this is wholesale, what they pay, and the price that is sold to you. The percent means out of 100, and the taxes. Now we also, when we buy stuff, when you go to the cash register, they add on provincial tax and federal tax. They combine it. It's called HST. And right now in New Brunswick, in a lot of the provinces, here anyway, in Nova Scotia, we have 15% extra we have to pay in taxes. Some provinces like Alberta, it's cheaper. They're a richer province because they produce oil, and they have a lot more people working there, and they draw more revenue, more money, so they don't have to charge so much on their products. So here's an example. Allie is managing a clothing store, and she can buy a new pair of jeans for $55. She must charge 45% markup to make a profit. What price should she sell the jeans for? Well, the first thing we do, we have to take our 45% and we have to convert that to a decimal. So everything is divided by 100, and the decimal fraction would be 0.45. Then we look at what she paid for it, $55, and we multiply it by that markup. I'll go to my calculator. $55 times 0.45, and it's $24.75. So now she has to add that to what she paid for. She paid $55. And then she adds the $24.75 markup, and she will sell it to you for $79.25. $79.75. You're right, $79.75. Now we haven't included tax here, so that's going to be the price probably on the label that you'll see it in the store. Then when you go to the cash register, they're going to say, well, we have 15% tax. So that's going to be converted to a decimal. So we have to multiply that again now by 0.15. That's for the HST tax. So if we go back to our calculator, clear this. Well, we had to add I'll add the 55 on here. There's our $79.75. Now we multiply by our tax, 0.15. And it's $11.96. That's the tax. So now we have to take our markup price, add the tax, and you would have to pay at the cash register $91.71. So something that cost her $55 marked up to $79.75, you eventually have to pay $91.71. Okay. Let's see, we have another one. You're buying a new television in New Brunswick for $5.99. You might notice that they always use that number one less. Rather than say $600, and it's only $1 less, but psychologically people think, $5.99 is cheaper than $600. But it's only $1 cheaper. But still, all stores will always put $9.99 or $10.99. So here at TV is $5.99. Determine what you will pay in taxes based on New Brunswick tax rate. I'm going to show you two methods here. We know that in New Brunswick, 15% is the tax. And if we change that to a decimal, it's 0.15. Now, one way is to take the television, multiply it by that tax. So bring up the calculator and I'll come back to that. $5.99 times 0.15, and I get $89.85. $89.85. Now, to find out what we have to pay for the TV, this is going to be my taxes. I have to add to the original price. The price would be $688.85. Now you notice we had to do two steps here. We had to calculate the tax, then add it to the amount, original amount, to get the final. You can do it in one step. If you know that you have to pay a tax of 15%, the original television cost 100%. So together, you're going to have to pay 115%. The 100 plus the 15. Well, if you change that to a decimal, remember it's always over 100, it's going to be 1.15. So, if I take my original amount, $5.99, and I multiply it by 1.15, not 0.15, I'll get my final answer in one step. It'll come out to $688.85. So you can skip a step by just using 1.15 instead of 0.15 and then adding it. Okay? So we'll do one quick one here. Managing a clothes store, you buy it. Oh, we already did that one. We did the price of the jeans. Let's do the headphones. Headphones cost $35, but has 115% markup. On top of this is the HST, final total cost of the headphones. Well, it originally cost $35. Original. We have a 115% markup. That's a lot. Jewelry is another thing that's marked up a lot. When you buy rings or watches and stuff, they have very, very high markup, more than double, because they don't sell a lot, so they increase it a lot. We change this to a decimal first. So remember, always divide by 100. So our markup here is 1.15. So I'm going to multiply that by 1.15. So 35 times 1.15. And I get $40.25. That's just the markup now, remember. That's the markup. That's not the final price. We have to add this to the original. The original price was $35. So it's gone from $35 to $75.25. So you would see the tag in the store at $75.25. Then you take it to the cash register, and she's going to ring it up, and she's going to add 15%. 15% for taxes. So if I change that to a decimal, remember it's 0.15. So I have to multiply that by first method. If I do 0.15, whatever I get, I have to add it to that. So 75.25 times 0.15. My taxes are going to be $11.29. Did I? Okay, clear it again. 75.25? Should be 75, right? Yeah. Times 0.15. $11.29. So those are my taxes. I have to add that to that price of $75.25. So it ends up that my headphones are going to cost me $86.54 with the taxes. Okay. No, I added. You have to plus it because remember this is marked up, the 75. You have to add the 11.29 taxes to it, and you get a final answer of 86.54. So it's more than double what you have to pay. 86.54, yeah, for the head. So I'm going to give you an assignment. There's just 3 questions on your assignment sheet here. It's going to be assignment 6. It's called Markup. Use 15%. If they ask you to add the tax, remember it's 15%. That's Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland all have 15%. Show all your work again and answer it in a sentence. You have one here about buying clothing store. You have another one for boots, hard hats, and 2 pairs of boots. And then Roberta here in Bathurst, she's buying sinks and bathtubs and faucets. And they want you to know what does she charge her customer. You do one at a time. You do 3 sinks, 89 each, so you'd be $89.95 times 3, and then you'd have to mark it up 25%. And then you have to do the same thing for the bathtubs. And then you see she's only going to sell 1 sink. If she buys 3 and she sells 1, well, they're going to have to find out it's only $89.95 for 1. She sells 1 bathtub and 2 houses. So that's what you got to just. You get it all right. Okay. If you have 3 sinks and that's each. If you had to sell all 3, right in this question here, you only have to do it for 1, so you're only going to have to use the $89.95. But if you had to do it for 3, you would do $89.95 times 3 would give you the total amount for the sinks, and then you would multiply by 0.25 and add it to it. For this question, you don't have to because you only have to sell one sink. So you're going to use just $89.95. And you're going to sell one bathtub. Well, one bathtub is just $639.95. And you're going to sell two faucets. Well, two faucets are $74.95 each. So this is the one here you're going to have to multiply by 2 because you're going to have to sell two of them. In each one of those answers, you add 25% to it, and then you get your total amount. Okay. All right, so that's it. That'll be in your pickup box. So you'll be able to print that off. I might have copies here, and I'll check for you. Everything else will be on the website.